Hello, in this video we're going to learn about dividing rational numbers. Once again, rational numbers, most of the time we're talking about fractions, but they could also be decimals as well. So dividing decimals is the same as we learned earlier in the year. When you add the negative symbol in here, now we have to deal with one more rule on top of that. So it's going to be exactly the same except that our answer is going to be negative. So first of all, we need to do our house division here. So I'm going to forget about the negative for now, and then we'll put it back in later, or we can actually put it into our answer already. We know it has to be a negative answer. So now we just have to do 205.20 divided by 4.5. As you remember from earlier in the year, we have to move the decimal over, and so we're actually dealing with 2052 divided by 45. So 45 does not go into doesn't go into 2 or 20, but it goes into 205, I believe 4 times. So that would be 180, and this will be 25. Okay, so now we have to bring down the next number, which is a 2. So now 252 divided by 45 is going to be, I think, 5. Let's see, 45 times 5 is 180, 225, I believe. And we're going to do some borrowing here. So this looks like a 7 and a 2. And then we're going to bring down the 0 to 70. I believe that is going to be 6. So, and I think that goes in evenly. So 45.6, but it is negative. And we can give an estimate to see if that makes sense. So negative 45 times 4 should be around 180, so 4.5. So this looks like it should be pretty close. Alright, in this one it's pretty similar, except the negative is on the second number. Again, that doesn't matter. The answer is going to be negative. So in the house we have 1.2684. Remember, it's really important that you keep these lined up nicely when you're doing long division. We're going to move this decimal over once, so we're going to move it over once there, putting it up here. So 42 does not go into 1 or 12, but it goes into 126, let's see, I think 3 times. So 40, 80, 126, that's even. Okay. Now remember, every time you bring down a digit here, you have to put an answer above it. So the fact that 42 doesn't go into 8, that's okay. We just put a 0 here, and then we can bring down the next number. But every time you bring down a number, you must put a digit above it. Okay, so now 42 goes into 84 twice, and that goes in evenly, so we have 0.302, so negative 0.302. Okay, getting into dividing fractions, which I think many of you will agree that is much easier. So same as earlier in the year where we were dividing fractions, now we just have a negative fraction. So we know that the answer is going to be negative. Okay, so we'll put that there to remind us. Now remember, dividing fractions is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. So if you remember early in the year, we have negative 3/4. Then this changes. So we're going to do this, and then we're going to flip these. Okay, so that changes to multiplication, and then the 1/8 changes to 8 over 1. So now we can do our reduction. So 8 and 4 reduces to 2 and 1, and that's it. So we're going to end up with negative 6 over 1, which is just negative 6. Okay, so we'll get rid of that. All right, let's try another one. remember 6 2/5, so when we're dividing or multiplying mixed numbers, if you remember from earlier in the year, you have to change them to improper fractions first before you do any flipping. So the 6 2/5, let's start with that. Let's make that 32/5 divided by, so we're not doing any changes yet. And the negative goes for the whole thing. It's not just -1 and then positive 3/5. The negative is the whole deal. So we can just put a negative here and then just deal with the improper fraction. So 5, 6, 7, 8/5. All right, now we can do our switching. Oops, not there. We're going to switch this, and we're going to switch these. So we end up with 32/5 times -5/8. Now we want to do our reduction here. So the 5 and 5 cancel out, but that negative is still here, so we have to put a -1 and 1. Or the negative could just be in the middle of the fraction. Either way, we have to know that the negative is going to be part of the answer. And then 8 and 32, that goes in 4 times. So what we have is -4/1, or just -4. Okay. Now if both of those had been negative numbers here, then the answer would be positive. Okay, but when one of them's negative, one's positive, the answer is negative. All right, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.